And thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to share this magnificent estate on Sheridan Creek in Job's Peak. This property is located about 10 minutes from Lake Tahoe, an hour from Reno, and still yet you're hidden away. You have this peace and beauty, tranquility that you can live your life and enjoy it and just live it. John and I, going to take you through the property. We're gonna show you room by room so you can see how beautifully it was designed. John will share his tips as to why they chose this location, why they built the way they did, and also we're going to take you to my favorite spot, a creek that runs along the side of the home. Are you ready, John?
I sure am.
Okay, let's go.
Lead you on the tour.
Now we're in the living room, and I'd like to point out the vast amount of window here that we put into the design here. What we wanted to achieve was an environment where you felt like the outdoors was actually part of your environment without actually being in it. So that's what inspired this bow window and the windows from the very floor to the ceiling. Another thing that was key to us was having interesting ceilings. And as you can see here, we have, and it's in a lot of the other rooms, the heavy beams and the T&G filling in between the beams. When I was looking through Architecture Digest, I became enthralled with the scissor trusses that I saw in some of the homes. I think a lot of them were in the Tahoe area that were used. I liked the style. Most of them, though, were used in a situation where the pitch of the roof was quite steep. I didn't want that steep of a pitch, so we designed a set of trusses, scissor trusses, that didn't have that didn't need to have the steep pitch. And I'd like to point out that the top cord that you see in the room is actually twice as high as what is visible to you. The T&G that goes between the trusses is actually cut into the neutral axis of the truss. So all you see is the bottom 8 inches. And the reason for doing that is we didn't want to be overwhelmed with a heavy structure. It makes it more graceful. The design also integrated purlins with the trusses that run the complete length of the room and all the way out through the portico. So that's the history behind the design here of the trusses. I might add too that the lower cords are reinforced with heavy steel rods that run along the tops of those lower cords, cut into a small groove. Now, another feature are the soffits that run throughout the house. You notice here that we use the soffit to break up the extent of the wall and making a division between the wall and the open beam ceiling. Now these soffits throughout the house are at 9.5 foot level. And the interesting thing is how they flow from one room to the next. They may be a soffit in one room and maybe the ceiling in another. As you can see as you go into the family room here, the soffit just runs right continuously into the family room and the kitchen. Essentially, the ceilings in our house are either open beam ceilings with elevated heights, or they're the standard ceiling at a 9.5 foot height, and the soffits are at the 9.5 foot height. So everything is integrated and flows. As you can see, this is the kitchen, and I'd like to start out by saying that in the design process, we had efficiency in mind. In fact, there's a little story behind that. When Stacy, my wife, was a girl living at home with her folks, and they would go out to dinner. Her father had the habit of asking to see the kitchen. They'd troop into the restaurant kitchen, and almost always they were galley kitchens, so you can sort of see how the style of this kitchen evolved. You have no idea how much time we spent simulating things like where the counter for the sink was located, where the counter for the stove was located, and the distance between them. And we even stood there back to back to make sure we could be working at the two stations without bumping into each other. Another thing that I certainly appreciate, just because of my, sometimes I have back problems, is the fact that we made the ovens to be side by side. And you have no idea when you have a heavy turkey or something like that, not having to bend over and put it in the bottom oven of a stack. And one last thing, and this was Stacy's insistence. I think she probably thought of it because I'm a lot taller than she is, but she wanted all these cabinets, which are deep, to have slide-out drawers, so you can easily load everything, use the entire drawer and see what's in there and pull it out. And I have to admit now that I'm using it, that it was a good thing to have done. I think there's a room that consists of the kitchen and the family room, and the whole idea here was to integrate the two of them, make them intimate, and it turns out that when we have guests, I think most of the time we spend standing here around the bar or sitting here in the couches and conversing. So it really is kind of the center of the action in the house when we have company here. I'd like to show you some of the features in the family room. We added a little desk and a workstation over here for Stacy. She has her computer, and she keeps some of her recipes and things like that, on her database. And also in this corner is just a little nook where if we have a small family dinner party, this is where we would eat. And finally, over in the corner over here is the entertainment center and the fireplace. And the TV is located in such a way that you can see what's going on there at, from almost any point in the room. And like, for example, if you're fixing dinner, you can see what's going on here as well. The fireplace is certainly a nice, cozy feature to have on a cold winter night. It just kind of warms this area up. And I guess that's about it for, this is the office. And I think probably the greatest feature about it are the wraparound windows that go all the way around the side of the house that faces the beautiful mountains and the scenery out here. And of course, the other thing that I really enjoy is the warmth of the woodwork in the cabinetry and in the bookshelves and the built-in desk. Now this room has its own fireplace, and I must tell you, in the wintertime, especially if you want to keep the temperature of the house down to a, sort of cool, this can be turned on and makes this a toasty little room that you can read or work on your computer. Now, one last thing, across the hall is the powder room. It's actually a full bathroom with its own shower, and therefore you can use this room as an overflow bedroom when you have a whole house full of guests staying overnight. And we actually have a pull-out couch here that can be made into a bed. Now we're in the master bedroom. I'd like to point out, first of all, the windows that go all the way around two of the walls. And some of the windows face east. And in the morning the sun comes up, and it's a cheery way of waking up, and you see a beautiful sky many times. And it's just a way of getting your day started. We have a door here that leads out onto a deck that is literally in the trees. And quite often, Stacy and I would go out there in the evening with a glass of wine, and we would recline in a couple of chaise lounges and watch the animals go by. And it is so peaceful, especially at that time of the day when the temperature is beginning to drop, but it's still warm. Another feature I'd like to point out are the open beam ceilings in here. And as I have said in the past, we wanted interesting ceilings. We took advantage of the fact that this is a hip roof, and then that makes it interesting the way the jack beams integrate with the ridge beam coming down the center. Now, the only thing you can do there, or to us anyway, seemed like the only thing to do, is to wall off one corner of the room so that the master bed has a backstop to it that is symmetric with the ridge beam. And you know, as a byproduct of that, actually, it provided space over in the powder room that we mentioned before for a shower. So it was very utilitarian in that choice. This is the master bathroom. And for my wife, she really liked the idea of having a magnificent tub that she could soak in, and the windows that you can look out over the nature that's out there to be seen with these large cathedral windows. I have not seen a bathroom of this structure or this arrangement before. It is, to my way of thinking, quite unique. If you look up at the ceiling, it's a big open beam ceiling. And the interior walls don't go all the way to the ceiling, and yet they provide the privacy that you desire, and at the same time create his bathroom and a hers bathroom. So, and it makes efficient use of the space. The two lavatories butt up against this centerpiece, and then we have places for the towels on the side. We have walk-in closets on either side. So, and also a big walk-in shower, and then of course a closed toilet room. That's the master. We're in the guest wing of the house right now, and in this wing we have 2 bedrooms, and each bedroom has its own bathroom. And they are essentially little suites. They can be closed off, and the whole idea behind it was when we have guests, they have the privacy that they would have in their own home. And I think we've achieved that. I know that when we've had guests, they really enjoy their stay here. Looking out through this patio door, there's a patio that you can walk out onto, and we have all these trees out here that provide seclusion and privacy. That is really has been paramount in the way we've designed the house and this one. Well, hi, this is the garage, as I think is pretty clear to anybody watching. And I'll start down here in the hallway. We have a small bathroom, that's a toilet room really, and it's really convenient when you're working outside and your feet are dirty or your shoes are dirty. You don't need to track all that through the house. So anyway, that was a great feature that we put into it. And right next to it is a storage room, which I don't think I want to show you because it is so full of stuff, but thank goodness it's in there and not hanging against the walls here. Another thing that I think the key thing here is that we put 3 bays into the garage, and each bay is 10 feet wide, and thank goodness, because after it was built, I measured the distance between one from mirror to mirror in my truck, and it's 8.5 feet. You know, if it had been any narrower, you would have had difficulty, but with it being 10 feet, it's easy to get in and out. And the other thing, finally, is the fact that it's quite deep. And I have this Dodge Ram that's a long bed. It is a big truck, and I park it in the end bay, and I can even close the doors and walk behind the truck. There's enough depth in the garage for that. So that's about it for the foyer, which is an extension to the living room. I think probably the main feature that I'd like to talk about here is the front door, the side lights, and the transom windows above the door. This was a joint effort between Stacy and me and a very talented designer up in Reno, where he created the doors and the windows with cut glass seams of aspen that are sandwiched in between two panes of glass, one on the inside and then one on the outside. The scene was inspired by the fact that we have all these aspens all along the edge of our property that runs along the stream. And in the fall, the colors are absolutely brilliant out there. And so we couldn't miss that, and we wanted to build it into the scene of the. We're in the dining room of the home, and it has its own fantastic views of the mountains to the west. And I'd like to point out, again with that theme of interesting ceilings, that we created an octagonal pyramid ceiling located right over the table. The thing about it that's kind of neat is that it creates a launching point for a chandelier that can be at a good height without actually getting in your way. Over on this side of the room, we have the built-in buffet for all the fancy glassware that we use when we have company. Now, by having an actual room for a dining room, one might say that we have chosen to have a conventional home. But I would like to point out the fact that the openings to all these rooms are very generous. They're big, so that there really is a feeling of flow from one room to another. It isn't broken up into small pieces. And I must say that when we have company here, it is really nice to be in a room by itself. It gives you an intimacy, for your...
Thank you so much for taking us through your beautiful home. I can feel and sense the passion and love that you put in to build this magnificent place. And now we're going to take you through a high-definition tour through the entire house so you can see it again. And at the end, we're going to take you to this beautiful Sheridan Creek so you can enjoy it as much as we have. Thank you so much. we're standing here next to this magnificent Sheridan Creek. It's so wonderful. It's so relaxing. I honestly would love to bring my chair and spend the afternoon reading a book. What do you do here, John?
Well, I don't read a book down here, but I do very much enjoy the sound of this stream that runs all year long. It's not a runoff stream. It's like this regardless of how dry the season is. And yeah, I'll go over one anecdote that I enjoy. And when I take the dogs for a walk, especially in the hot summertime, they get tired and real hot. And at the end of the walk, I'll take them down here to the pool. And especially the little female loves that water. And she gets in there and rolls around in it and gets herself cooled off. And I enjoy that. But really, it's just nice to have this next to you all year long.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here with us. We've had a wonderful time. John and I showed you what we have to offer, and now it's up to you to share it with those people that you love and care about. They can have this piece of beauty. John?
Well, I certainly enjoyed giving you the tour. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share it with you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful.